Yeah. Well, guess what? I mean, I know they're not
Hey, what's going on,
guaranteed
guys? I'm
to
Chakits Krulsawat with Simply Vegas, Realtor out here in the Las Vegas Valley. For today's market rundown, for single family residents today, we actually have a total of 4,479 properties as currently on the market as of today. 97% are actually private sales, 3% are short sales, and 1% are bank owned properties. If we take a look at the average list price right now for a single family residence is at 264,900. What can you actually get with that? It's 1,818 square feet, 3 bedrooms. But the average sales price for a single family residence at this time is actually 262,000. Now keep in mind, in 2016, the exact same home you could have bought for 220,000, which actually has gone up about 19%. So if you're actually sitting on the sidelines thinking about buying or not, I mean, 19%, that's pretty high in 1 year. Now, if we take a look at townhomes, we currently have a total of 284 properties currently listed on the market. 98% of them are actually private sales, 1% are short sales, and another 1% are bank-owned properties. The average townhomes listed at 170,000 at this time. The average sales price is at 170,000. With an average days on the market is about 12 days. So things are actually moving pretty rapidly. Condos here. Condos, we actually have a total of 483 condos currently available. 96% of them are private sales, 2% are short sales, and 2% are also bank-owned properties. The average price for a condo at this time is $126,750. The average days on the market right now is about 13 days. So things are actually moving along pretty quickly. But if we take a look overall on the housing market with, townhomes, duplexes, triplexes, everything that's all included right now, we have a total of 5,763 properties that are currently available. 96% of them are actually private sales, 2.5% are short sales, and less than 1% are bank-owned properties. Moving on to multifamily. Duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes, okay? 2 units. There's only a total of 19 properties that are currently available, and they're all traditional sales at this time. Triplexes, 3 units, okay? 8 properties are currently available, and 7 out of the 8 are actually private sales, and there's only 1 bank-owned property that's currently listed. Fourplexes, total 4 units. 36 units are currently available as of today. 100% of them are actually private sales. Things are really not moving in this sector. The average days on the market is about 125 days. And I've noticed the price has gone up pretty dramatically from $50 per door, $50,000 per door, to about $60, even $70,000 per door. And nothing is really moving in this sector. Even though that you are utilizing the FHA program and you decide that you want to move in, the numbers at this point don't even make sense at this time. But if we take a look at the inventory and the month supply right now, we have about 1.8 months supply. And that's actually dropped pretty rapidly when we initially were about 2 months supply. So things are actually moving pretty quickly, even though we are in the holiday seasons here. Also, we are actually selling an average about 3,128 homes on a monthly basis, which comes out to about a total of 39,075 homes that we currently sold year to date. And also, I've noticed on the sellers that actually have their properties on the market, there's been a dramatic decrease from 10.4% to 7.3% as far as a price reduction on a weekly basis. So what this means is that because the market is so hot right now, with supply and demand, we got more buyers than sellers. What's happening is the sellers are actually putting their property on the market more than what the property will appraise at, but 10% of them are starting to realize that we are not getting any offers, it's overpriced, so we have to do a price reduction. But those numbers actually have dropped from 10.4% to 7.3%. So what's happening here is that the listing agent, once they go out and take the listing, they really are informing and educating their sellers as far as what's really going on within the housing market. And sellers are getting smart and really listing their properties accordingly based upon today's holiday season. Now, moving on to financing consideration, as far as all the homes that are currently on the market, 100% of the homes will accept an all-cash offer. 98% of the homes will qualify for conventional financing. 61% will qualify for FHA financing. 65% of the homes that are currently available will qualify for VA financing. Now, sometimes I get calls where people want to do an owner will carry or at least the option because their credit is not great at that time. They can't get traditional financing from a bank. So what they want us to do is to find a seller out there who actually will carry the note or actually do a wrap. That's less than 1.5% of the market today. So if you're just getting into the market and that's something that you're looking to do, you're really going to minimize your search, especially in today's market when it's very aggressive right now, when everybody's trying to buy a home, believe it or not. It's just going to be a lot harder for you. Not only that, I don't like the terms in the agreement between you and the seller. It just doesn't make any sense. It's going to cost you more money if you do it that way. You're better off probably just working on your credit, saving your money, getting with the lender, getting things done the right way, and you are going to prosper ahead going this way, okay? Now, what's most important, let's take a look at the closing ratios as far as what's going on, as far as based upon the type of terms and the financing. Now, if we take a look today, almost 30% of the buyers right now are actually cash buyers. And last month and the previous month, it was only at 19%, and it actually gone up about 10%, believe it or not. So cash buyers are starting to make their way, and they're starting to get educated where we can't lowball an offer because we will never get our offer accepted. And a lot of cash buyers today are actually offering more than what the property's worth in order to get the property accepted. Also, they are waiving their right to do an appraisal, even though they know the property's not going to appraise, but they are willing to beat out other buyers out there to pay $2,000 more. Now, if we take a look at conventional, 45% of the market right now that is closing are conventional buyers. And that actually dropped by 5%, believe it or not. That we're sitting at 50% and they were going pretty strong, but at 45%, that's majority of the market today. FHA dropped from 18% down to 15%. So FHA buyers now are actually losing their leg up. Normally, FHA buyers, you still can actually beat out conventional buyers and also cash buyers, but you do have to be really aggressive. And unfortunately, it's only 15% of the market at this time. VA buyers are only 10% of the market. And VA buyers should be a lot higher because VA buyers, I believe you can get qualified up to about $450,000, but anything above that is considered a jumbo loan, but you still can actually get the deal done. I think the reason why this number is a little bit low is because there's just not that many VA buyers out there, okay? Now, if we take a look at the rental market right now, for a single family residence that is 1,764 square feet with a 3-bedroom, the average rental price is about $1,395 versus if you bought a home in today's market at $262,000, right, and that's about 1,800 square feet, 3 bedrooms, what would the payment be on this? And the reason why this is important is because if you're sitting on the sideline to see, is it worth it to rent or is it worth it to buy? So this is how you determine it, okay? So basically, if you are looking to purchase a property at $260,000 and you have excellent credit, and let's just say the market right now is at 4.5%. So at $262,000, so it looks like your payment would actually be about $1,317, and this is only principal and interest. So now you have to consider you got taxes and insurance, so that's probably about another $200. So it's about $1,550 a month to actually buy an 1,800 square feet home with the median price being at $262,000, Or should you rent for $1,400 a month and you get a 1,700 square feet home and a 3-bedroom? So this is where you kind of weigh your pros and cons. Should I spend $200 more to actually own a property and lock in a good interest rate at 4.5% today? Or is it just better to rent? Now that just comes down to your current situation if you are planning to stay in the property for long term. Also, one of the challenges that you have to keep in mind is that, let's say if this is a route that you are willing to take. You are willing to pay $200 more and you are willing to get qualified for the $262,000. Do those properties actually exist in your area? Okay. Now, if they do exist, do you like those properties? Now, to answer your question, if you can't even find those properties and they don't meet your 8 out of 10 item list that you want, then maybe now is not a good time for you to buy. Okay, so you have to keep that in mind. Also, what's a compensating factor too as well is if you're buying down points when you are getting finance, or depends on what your credit score is and your debt to income ratio. So all this will be a compensating factor. Also, with the overall market at this time, what I'm starting to see as well is that 62.5% are actually buyers in today's market and 37.5% are actually renters at this time. So we are having a lot of buyers out here looking right now. Also, one of the questions I'm getting asked a lot is it really a time to buy right now during the holiday season? And to answer that question, I'm going to say yes for buyers and sellers, because here's the thing. If you are a buyer, okay, the sellers that have their property on the market today, they need to sell for a reason. They want to sell. And what happens is in today's market, even though that we have so many buyers, the buyer pool kind of slowed down, but we're still having multiple offers, believe it or not. I literally just submitted an offer about, I think it was $320,000 or $325,000, and we still got beat out, and we gave them full asking price, believe it or not, even though that the median price is at $262,000. But also, you have to keep in mind, if you wait till the summer, what's going to happen is, yes, you'll get more properties on the market, but then you're going to have more buyers on the market. So you're going to be competing against everybody. So you have to keep that in mind. Now, when we bought our first home, we actually bought in November or December, I think it was. And we were actually able to negotiate a better deal, and we actually had more options, believe it or not. So I really think it is a good time to buy. And if you are a seller and debating if you should put your property on the market now, definitely put your property on the market now, because the person that's submitting an offer on your property in today's market, there's a lot of buyers out there. They still want your property, and if they really want your property, they're definitely going to submit the highest and best, and you'll definitely get top dollar for your property. So it's really a win-win situation. But other than that, it really just depends on your situation. So that's something to keep in mind. Let's see here. One of the things that we didn't talk about was actually high rises. And I want to get into this really quickly. High rises, today we actually have 415 properties that are currently available. 409 properties that are currently listed right now is actually traditional sales, and the rest are actually short sales. The problem with these high rises today is a lot of banking institutions will not finance on the high rises because of the litigation and also the common areas. Investors just don't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole. However, there are actually investors out there that will actually do these type of financing. They're far in between, but if you went to like a Chase or Wells Fargo, chances of you getting financed for something like this is very slim. And also depends how much you put down, also depending on the investor too as well. But the average HOA for these high rises, you're looking an average about $500. I've even seen some all the way up to $1,000. Now, if you're planning to buy this as an investment property, I don't think this is a good investment property. But if you got the money, you got the cash, and you want something with a view, and that's the only reason why you should be buying a high rise, something that is actually going to give you a view, because that's where the value is at, okay? So if you're buying a high rise and you're on the 3rd floor and you got a parking structure as a view, you're buying it for the wrong reasons, okay? So just keep that in mind. Also, when you're buying into a high rise, make sure the agent that you're working with, you know, you may have a view now, Make sure to get with that agent to take a look at the plat map to see if anything is going to obstruct your view in the near future, or if there's any plans in the near future as far as new buildings or new constructions around that surrounding area. So remember, that's very important. You don't want your view to be obstructed. Okay, let's see what else we can have here, guys. Let's talk about the rental market right now. The rental market, we have an average about almost a little bit less than 3,000 properties currently on the market for rentals, and that includes condos, multifamily, townhomes, single-family residence, also manufactured homes. We have about a 1.3 month supply for rentals at this time. We are leasing an average about 2,000 rentals at this time, and year to date is about 24,370 rentals. Now, if we actually take a look on the Las Vegas Authority, Visitors Authority, what you'll see is that we're having an average about almost 5,000 people moving to Las Vegas each year. And, you know, Las Vegas is actually one of the metropolitan areas where you still can actually get a home and it's still affordable. You know, keep in mind that the average household income is about $51,000. Right now, so that's about 5 times the income. And if you take a look at all the other metropolitan areas throughout throughout the United States, you'll see that New York City is probably about like 20 times higher. San Francisco's 30 times higher. And a lot of people are actually starting to move out here, especially from the East Coast. And the demographics that I'm working a lot with, I've noticed from the East Coast, are actually retirees, which we call snowbirds. And what I've seen here in the Las Vegas market, one of the things that we are actually lacking is retirement communities, 55 plus and up. There's really not that many. And within this sector, what I've noticed is pricing has really shot up through the roof. And keep in mind, we're having over 19,000 retirees, baby boomers, every single year. And this is one of the places where a lot of them are actually starting to come out here. So this is a sector that if you're an investor, you may actually want to look into and start building. One of the things that I also want to talk about is notice of defaults. Notice the defaults right now actually dropped pretty dramatically. We were hovering around 450 notice of defaults every single month. Now we're around 200. So it seems like all the foreclosures and all the people that were actually in default, it's actually gone through its cycle. However, the notice of trustee sale, and this is a notice of trustee sale, is just basically to let the owners know that because you're in default, we're going to go ahead and sell your home. So basically, there were about 230 average every single month. Notice of trustee sale, we're selling about 183 every single month. So basically, through the course of the process, about half of them will actually get sold off at the auction. Now, for you investors out there at the auction, you know, I had one of my buddies, he's an agent out here in Simply Vegas, and what he does is really specialize in flipping properties. And, you know, he's going out there and he's buying properties, but there's really nothing out there to buy because the numbers just don't make sense at this time. But believe it or not, there are some companies out there like OfferUp and, you know, these investment companies where there's still deals out there and you still can get a deal. However, they are far in between. Now, we don't provide that service where if you're looking for a flip property, unfortunately we don't do that. We only do the buy and sell side, but we can definitely connect you with one of the agents in our office that really specializes in something like that, in flip properties. So just keep that in mind. Now let's talk about some zip codes. There are a couple of zip codes that have gone up pretty dramatically throughout the Las Vegas Valley. Believe it or not, 89109. This zip code actually has gone up about 12%, and the reason why it's gone up about 12%, okay, and also I'm going to throw this in here, 89119 and 89169, also that's gone up 13 and also 17%. The reason why that's gone up so dramatically is because throughout the whole Las Vegas Valley, what happened is investors are buying and they're flipping properties. But in other zip codes, it's just not making any sense. So now they're going into these zip codes where properties were actually built in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. They're going in and rehabbing these homes. And I can't believe it. They're actually selling these homes about $160, $170 a square foot. I just can't believe how much money that they are actually getting. But they're doing a pretty good job of rehabbing the property. But however, one of the things that I do have a concern with, if you are purchasing a property that's in the 40s, 50s, and the 60s, if you take a look at the sewage system, during that time period, the plumbing was actually made through cast iron plumbing. After about 40 years, if it's not being in use, it would actually corrode and start rotting and actually collapse. The reason why I know this is because I bought those type of properties as well. Once we started opening it up, we started realizing that, you know what, the cast iron is no good. So keep in mind, so if you're buying a property in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, this is what I highly recommend that you do. During your due diligence period, you want to hire a plumber that actually has a camera system that could shove down a camera down into the sewage line, and make sure it's actually colored, not black and white. That's one of the mistakes that I made, and I don't want you to make that mistake. It's going to probably run you about $350, but just go ahead and have that line ran all the way down to the main sewage system, and that camera is going to tell you if there's any cracks, because you want to use that towards your negotiating power. The good news is, once this has been disclosed to the seller, now the seller has to disclose all this information to the next buyer. So this is definitely going to give you a leg up in negotiating that deal. So just keep that in mind. Also, the other thing I noticed is that homes were built in 40s and 50s. If you take a look at the electrical outlet, it may not have that ground. You may just have two plugs and you plug it in. That's another thing that I've learned when flipping homes in the past. Some investors, what they're going to do is they'll just go ahead and ground it out, but not really run it all the way to the main power box and ground it out. And what they're doing is bypassing that. So make sure to let your home inspector know this, so that way they can inspect the property properly. Other than that, guys, that's all I have for today. If you're just getting into the housing market, want to get started, and really want to see what's going on, visit lvhomeexperts.com. It's a great website to really get started. Also, what I like about this website is you can actually customize your search, and it's only going to show you properties that are only currently available. So what I'm going to actually do is have that link on the description below. Also, if you like this information, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Also, hit that notification button. It's very important. I want you guys to support this channel. Other than that, I'm Chakits Krulsawat with Simply Vegas, and have a great day.